Hey, what's happening? It's Lawnarchy. It's me and PL. I got a Jamel Rockwell, godson, and quarter from the Valley. Um, it's been a weird couple of weeks in Congress and Senate and everything. And one thing that caught my attention is Mr. Clyburne from South Carolina. He wants to make Lift Every Voice and Sing, a.k.a. the Negro National Anthem, the national hymn of the United States of America. Godson, we'll be serious first. So that's why I'm going to Godson first. So, what are the ramifications of making Lift Every Voice and Sing the national hymn that you know of?
I think, there's definitely some layers to it. I think attempting to give him benefit of the doubt and be respectful of black leadership, African American leadership. I think, from his generational lens, he's looking at that as another symbolic gesture of some sort of reconciliation. Possibly, that being recognized nationally as another step to say, we recognize black folk stuff as part of American folk stuff. It's probably the narrative he's going for. I'll leave it at that. But in terms of ramifications, there really is no impact or nothing to gain from that. He's not moving the needle forward with that, especially operating from such an outdated narrative in terms of relevancy, because most African Americans don't know it past the first verse. Secondly, it's not a banner that we're carrying and saying that's what we want in terms of you acknowledging us. We want you to acknowledge that as something for us.
That ain't what we asked for.
That ain't what we asking for. And then he'll have statements saying, well, we've been under the chastening rod, and this is a way to reconcile. I'm sorry, bro. I wasn't alive then, and even then, my ancestors beat up the overseer on the plantation. So that's Frederick Douglass. So, there's nothing that I can relate to in terms of now we can finally. Just that old Negro narrative, right? Like that's done. And
that is a perfect idea coming from an 83 years old?
Something like that.
That's like an old person being like, you ain't gotta get a student loan. You can work your way through school. Like, hell, you was in school with Moses, you know what I mean? Like nigga, shit, school costs us
so your education cost as much as the school cost back then.
Oh, could have built you a school.
$5 a semester, nigga. You know what I'm saying? Like, go sit down somewhere. Like, it just the relevancy doesn't translate, and that's the issue.
It just sounds to me like the man just wants more struggle. Like that man's career has been struggle.
Give me some more.
You know what I mean?
Give me some more.
Let me get this straight.
Let me get 2 orders of struggle.
Let me get this straight. Not only
the side of justice.
Not only do y'all want the Negro National Anthem to be played alongside the national anthem, right?
That's a hymn.
But you couldn't say it as Black National Anthem.
That's a hymn, my nigga.
Because we all became Black Panthers as soon as they suggested that during the football season, right?
Already.
Now,
hold on. Y'all want these white folks to sing to a black god? Is that what you?
He wants.
That's what he went. That's what he.
Because what leaders got people.
He didn't
following
realize that's what they
leaders
asking
got
him to
people
do.
Follow him. He just taking a walk. Ain't nobody walking with his ass.
well, see, he hasn't done his proper research
Already.
first and foremost, because we reside in Kansas City, Missouri, and Missouri, first and foremost, was the last slave state.
Last state to free slaves, man.
What you know what I'm saying? So, and Missouri's going Missouri. We're the home of Josh Hawley. Not necessarily the people in the screen voted him in, but we, as a state, voted him in. So that lets you know how the state feels about certain situations.
Already.
But just go back to the beginning of the football season when they played Lift Every Voice and Sing at the football stadium, and the Chiefs and the the Texans
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we're linked arm in arm.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? In unity.
Boo.
And the 16,000 rained down with some booze.
Go back where you came from.
I mean,
And that was like, damn.
and
That's,
so,
After the game, though. After the game.
and so
after the
again,
game is
you
over.
know,
Just play your heart out, buddy, to get the fuck out of here.
get that out of here.
and so you know, I think about Jay Electronica's the intro to the shit when he got Farrakhan say, so all you scared to death Negroes, right? Like this is exactly who Mr. Farrakhan's talking about. This is exactly it right here. Because instead of you really finding a real cause to leverage and advocate for, especially with your supposed tenure in leadership,
Yeah,
right?
you're going backwards.
Bro, you're not moving the needle forward.
Let's take it back.
And not only that, but you were so, as PL said, disconnected, as Jamel said, is not our cause.
Running in place.
That
Just
you don't
running
even
in place for so long, man.
But you don't have anybody even in proximity that can help you identify.
Been
what-
running,
Hey,
you've
you
been
know
running in
what I mean?
place too
Hey,
long,
listen.
man. Just running in place.
He is the last of the OGs.
And where are you?
No, I mean for real. As far as the
Hey,
last
where
of the
are you
OGs from out of the civil rights era.
But where are you from that there's no young leadership that's it, or younger or more apt leadership that's in tune in today? I mean, I guess folks could say the same thing here in terms of Clyburne because I've heard the same.
He's from South Carolina.
You know what I mean?
And it is the same thing. What it is he is the tradition.
Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah.
You know what I'm saying? He was the black man in South Carolina in the 60s, you know what I'm saying, who stood up and was getting his head bust upside, you know what I'm saying, by the police and by the Klan and by white supremacists and by the sheriffs and all that good stuff. So,
And you never want to discount that.
and
Right,
I
no,
do
no,
not
no,
discount
no,
that.
No, you can't do
I
that.
do not discount that at all. And I am extremely grateful and thankful that they were the ones taking them head bustings and not me.
Because you already know what time it is.
You know what I'm saying? I've taken head bustings by the police, you know what I'm saying, for righteous stuff. And that shit's not fun. That shit's not fun at all.
No.
That shit hurts.
Bad.
But better to be in a time when you had recourse as we do now as
Right.
him when
You know what I'm saying? So,
yeah.
no, so it's all bad.
But you know what though, I think it does beg the serious question, and I mean just all bullshit aside. Where is the line where you say, I acknowledge that, I respect that, it has relevancy, but this is where it stops per se. Not it stops in terms of, but
We gotta grow. We gotta grow.
but when
into
we're
it.
looking at the leadership lens and deciding who's qualified or who's capable, who's competent, at what point do we really start to
What's the
consider
next
other
move?
Well,
factors?
you have to,
It's chess,
and
not
in part,
checkers,
it's on both sides, in my opinion. The youth have to be able to point out and explain to the elders that the same way technology has evolved, the quote unquote enemy has evolved, and the
Cohesion is always ideal.
yeah,
bro.
the
Cohesion
method,
will
the
always
methodology
be
that
ideal.
you're
Yeah,
using
yeah.
is the foundations and fundamentals of it are solid, and we can take that, but we cannot go and sit at this lunch counter.
That can be.
Yeah,
be how
we can't.
operate.
Yeah, we cannot. We cannot afford to be out here getting our head busted like that because we will create civil war.
Because we also have a population too, a large segment of the population that is not accepting,
Right.
that is not forgiving, that is not loving.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Let's just be honest. And so, you know, I was watching at the previous studio I was at, news clip of one of the DC Capitol Police, and he was interviewed, you know, because he was caught in the middle of the shit, and you know he was like, they asked him to explain his thought process. He said, at one point I thought about drawing guns and shooting people. He said, but then if I knew I shot, I couldn't shoot them all, and I would give them calls to come get me. He said, then I tried to appeal to the humanity, right? I got daughters, I got kids. And some folks around and got them out of there. And his sentiment was, you know, thank you for helping me,
But fuck you for being there.
Mm-hmm. And you know, I think you have to understand that there are folks who only see that, and so those outdated I don't want to say outdated, but those dated or timely notions of, let me just try to, You know, if you can adopt something that we have, and you know, we can find some common bound. That's not going to be the common bound. That's not the common bridge. That's not. That's not going to be
We've been on that
it.
treadmill for the longest.
And to be honest, you got folks that honestly don't care to bridge build. I'm cool with you being over there, and I'm cool being over here. What I want is equal access for the shit over here, like you got it for over there.
Yeah.
And I mean,
and I think that's where I fall, honestly.
Clean water too.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, I don't mind there being a bridge there to, you know.
If I choose to use it.
Yeah, but
if I choose to use it.
Yeah, I don't like the forced bridge being built like they're trying to do with the Crossroads and 18th and Vine.
Well, you know, just having especially thinking about it locally, how our shit's defined. You know, the Northland defines itself as airport to downtown. Well, downtown technically runs to 31st Street if you look at the Downtown Neighborhood Association, because they run from River Market to 31st Street. Mm-hmm. So how strategic is it for you to claim the airport, Northern Territory, and then the financial and health district of Kansas City because your area doesn't have a financial, but maybe it does have a health district because you got a lot of hospitals up north, but you don't have a financial hub like concentrated industry like it is downtown. So that may be the missing piece we have. Let me annex that as part of our shit and still exclude all the populations we want, right? I mean, like, I'm seeing that in Kansas City. Like, you're seeing the city being built up around folks that doesn't include the folks that's here. And you have leadership that is not, let me give my blatant ass opinion, that is not only apt enough to address it, but you only have a fucking clue of what to do even if you could address it. Right. Even if you had the intestinal testicular fortitude to stand up and address it, what would you say?
Right. Exactly.
And that right there is why, in my opinion, why we have Clyburns as leaders by default. By default, bro.
Well, that and there is a huge lack of accountability. No one wants to be held accountable for themselves, let alone for others.
Oh, no doubt.
You know what I'm saying? So I think just as much as that, it's the accountability factor.
That black and gold paralysis we got here. Go to a post, might give you a black and gold piece of paper. I don't know nobody on here. I don't research nobody here. I'll just vote for them because you tell me to.
Right.
Yep.
Right.
Yep. And I can't knock black and gold for taking advantage. Right? I mean, if I can sell you for something that's if I can sell you something for $100 more than what it really costs, and you willing to pay for it, our culture tells us that's good business.
Capitalism. America.
No, real shit though, man. Real shit.
No, shit, you know.
Now, I'm gonna tell you my honest biggest issue with the Negro National Anthem becoming the national hymn is that I'd be damned if I hear the Boys Mormon Tabernacle Choir singing that shit.
Wow.
That would really make me mad. Just being honest about it. I mean, it'd be fucking hilarious. It'd be one of the funniest things that you would ever see.
Nah, I can't grow old to that. Yeah,
but
I can't.
Nah.
Okay. All right,
wow.
So
what is going on?
Big bro, you bring up an excellent bigger picture point, right? And that is you can't inverse the inverse or whatever. If that makes sense. In other words, you get what I'm saying? Like
they would co-opt the song.
You get what I'm saying,
and take
bro?
these past 2 or 3 weeks
bro,
of quote unquote oppression and try and treat it like we understand your pain.
Mm-hmm.
Nah, man.
Yeah, bro, and that's my whole point. That was designated for a group that had a designation that didn't apply and fit to nobody.
Hey, man, Negro National Anthem was FUBU.
You can't exactly
for us by us,
and you can't take that and then now say because the perceived conscious of the country is we want to acknowledge and be inclusive of you guys who we've been discounting and demeaning and degrading to for 400 plus years, right? You can't take that now and then say, yeah, let's make that the umbrella, because that's not a sentiment that you make popular for. That's not a trending thing. That's not a hashtag. You know what I'm saying?
Or
And
if
so
you really want to impress me,
for that, that's what you're doing.
if you really want to impress me, change the national anthem, the actual national anthem, and not to lift every voice and sing, but let's write some new shit. We got some pretty nice songwriters out here, you know what I'm saying? To my knowledge, because the national anthem really ain't that cool after the first verse.
You know, you know what? I give it to you for real though. You know, Francis Scott Key and all them for whatever they did for their contribution. You know, again, I don't want to diminish that in the same way that I want to diminish Clyburne's or Representative Clyburne's, whatever. It's all part of that timeline of history, governance, or whatever. But here's what I will say, bro. Instead of us, because in my issue, this is what Clyburne's missing the point is. Instead of us looking for the symbolic gesture, let's just really do the fucking work, right? Let's just really enact the shit. You know what I'm saying? In other words, like saying that stat, you know, what President Trump's tax cut in his first 4 years did for the upper class, you could give every U.S. citizen $1,800 a month for the next 9 months during COVID. Okay, there you go. You know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, like, that's a fucking no-brainer.
It's not problem solved, but it does. I mean,
it makes sense.
I mean,
but it's part of the solution.
Working on it.
Because
Working on it.
Because it's a changing of trajectory of how you do policy, of your thinking, of your approach. And so you can't tell me Black Lives Matter when you won't do anything structurally to address it. But then also you want to empower me to do something internally to address it, because that's a very dichotomized issue. We'll rise up when Whitey and the Badge and all them raise up on the nigga, but we ain't doing shit when the 4 niggas shoot up the other nigga over there. You know what I mean?